Today I will give lecture on Hamlet. The title of my lecture is Hamlet, from Tragic Deadlock to Revolt. Coleridge's contention that Hamlet delayed because he thought too much, to a great extent, is true. Throughout the whole play, Hamlet is observed in his own thinking. Hamlet's procrastination in the execution of the act of revenge constitute the crux of the problem. Hamlet is confronted with a very grave situation. Such situation demands a lot of thinking. In the very first act, Hamlet sees the ghost of his father. The ghost tells him that he was murdered by Claudius. Further, the ghost insists on Hamlet to take revenge on Claudius for his foul murder. Hamlet is convinced by the argument of the ghost. His original plan is intensified by knowledge of the unrestful spirit, by the terrible secrets of death hinted by the ghost words. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would horror up their soul, freeze thy young blood. He now learns that his father's murderer now wears the crown, is married to his faithless mother. The irony of the ghost's parting word is terrible. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Remember me. Hamlet confronts an adulterous and incestuous world where love and marriage are too soon ignored and violated. The ghost reinforces the idea of the adulterous and incestuous world, i.e., that incestuous, that adulterate beast with witchcraft of his wits, with treacherous gifts. O wicked wit and gifts that have the power so to seduce one to his shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. He is prepared to take revenge, but he is in search of proper time to come. Hamlet is drowned in his own emotions. He suffers from morbid impact of melancholia. Bradley has advanced an argument that an unusual proportion of melancholy and brooding has caused the delay. Sometimes Hamlet thinks of suicide, but after an argument within himself, he arrives at the conclusion that it would be a sin to commit suicide. His ideas on suicide are reflected in his most famous soliloquy, "To be or not to be, that is the question." Hamlet is full of hatred for Claudius, as he has murdered his father and married his mother. He is also harsh on woman characters, especially he is surprised to see that his mother has married just 2 months after the death of her husband. Such behavior on the part of a woman shocks him, and he is correct in his assertion that frailty, thy name is woman. He wants to kill Claudius, but he does not get the proper situation. Once when the king Claudius was praying to God, Hamlet had nearly thought of killing him, but Hamlet could not kill Claudius, as he thought that if he is murdered now, as he was praying to God, he would go to heaven, and Hamlet wanted to send him to hell. Hell was the best place for Claudius according to Hamlet. After some time, Claudius senses the attitude of Hamlet and he wants to drive him out, but Claudius fails in his attempt, as Hamlet is aware of the plans of Claudius. Hamlet now arranges a play to verify the story of the ghost. Hamlet's show is based on the story of the ghost. To the satisfaction of Hamlet, Claudius leaves the hall before the completion of the play. Now he is sure that Claudius has murdered his father. He thinks over his plans. He feigns madness. Some critics say that actually he was mad, but such criticism cannot be entertained. Strictly speaking, Hamlet assumed madness for fulfilling his commitment of murdering the king. Shakespeare represented mental anguish and frustration of the Elizabethan age through Hamlet. Hamlet is a modern tragedy, and some critics are of the view that the anguish and frustration of Hamlet is to some extent similar to the situation of T.S. Eliot's Family Reunion. Hazlitt says that Hamlet's ideas are similar to our own. He says that it is we who are Hamlet. Hamlet delays because he was a thinker and moralist. He was supposed to kill Claudius for the peace of the departed soul of his father. No doubt, at the end, Hamlet achieves his goal. He avenges his father's murder, but the delay has brought catastrophe. It is a psychological fact that after great thinking and meditation, our power of action vanishes. Hamlet thought too much and to an extent lost the power of action. Othello is also a great tragic play of Shakespeare, but the hero of the play, Othello, is not as intellectual, intelligent and sharp-minded as Hamlet is. Hamlet is a dramatic essay draped in mystery. There is suspense all the time. The play sustains the illusion of suspense and horror, and the suspense is created by the hero Hamlet himself. But in Othello, the horror is created by the villain Iago. Iago is the most intelligent and forceful character in the play. Hamlet creates the most significant images, which builds the atmosphere and theme of the play. Hamlet's way of employing images is unique in Shakespeare's drama. When he begins to speak, the images fairly stream to him effortlessly. Hamlet's imagery shows us that whenever he thinks and speaks, he is at the same time a visionary, a seer, for whom the living thing of the world about him embody and symbolize thought. His first monologue may show this, the short space of time which has between his father's death and his mother's remarriage is to him a series of pictures taken from real life. A little month, or those shoes were old, with which she followed my poor father's body. Like Niobe, all tears, why, she, even she, O God, a beast that wants discourse of reason. There are no poetic sample, but keen observation of reality. Hamlet does not translate the general thought into an image paraphrasing it. On the contrary, he uses the opposite method. He refers the generalization to the events and objects of the reality underlying the thought. Hamlet's imagery reveals the hero's wide educational background, the extraordinary range of his experience. That metaphors taken from natural sciences, frequent in Hamlet's language again, emphasizes his power of observation. But Hamlet is also at home in classical antiquity or Greek mythology. In the terminology of law, he is not only familiar with the theatre and with acting, as everyone knows, but also with the fine arts, with hunting, with the soldier's trade and strategy, with the courtier's way of life. All these spheres disclosing Hamlet's personality as that of a courtier, soldier, and scholar are evoked by the imagery, which, however, turns them to living account by a fit application to situations, persons, and moods. In nearly all of Shakespeare's major tragedies, the hero, the protagonist, has a very great and indeed a peculiar prominence. There is no parallel to this in Shakespeare's other plays, not even the most tense and serious of them like The Measure for Measure. Rather that, we make contact very directly with the experience through which the protagonist passes in the course of the play. Because of the peculiar prominence of the protagonist to see lucidly what he has experienced, the spectacular enters into the experience of the protagonist. Hamlet is one of the few literary heroes who lives apart from the text, apart from theatre. His name means something even to those who have never seen or read Shakespeare's plays. In this respect, he is rather like Leonardo's Mona Lisa. We know she is smiling even before we have seen the picture. Mona Lisa's smile has been separated from the picture as it were. It contains not only what Leonardo expressed, but also everything that has been written about it. It is not just that Mona Lisa that is smiling at us, but all those who have tried to analyze or imitate that smile. This is also the case with Hamlet, or rather with Hamlet, for we have been separated from the text not only by Hamlet's independent life in our culture, but simply by the size of the play. The genius of Hamlet consists perhaps in the fact that the play can serve as a mirror. An ideal Hamlet would be one most true to Shakespeare and most modern at the same time. It is the strangest play ever written by its very imperfections. Hamlet is a great scenario in which every character has a more or less tragic and cruel part to play and has magnificent things to say. Hamlet can be summarized in a number of ways, as a historical chronicle, as a thriller, or as a philosophical drama. Hamlet is more than the heir to the throne who tries to revenge himself for the murder of his father. The situation has been imposed on him. Hamlet accepts it, but at the same time, he revolts against it. Every Hamlet has a book in his hand. Every Hamlet has a book in his hand. What book does the modern Hamlet read? We can easily visualize him in black sweater and blue jeans. The book he is holding is not by Montaigne, but by Sartre, Camus or Kafka. Shakespeare's Hamlet is one of those rich and complex works of art that convey different meanings in different generations to different individuals. Thank you.